Hi, I'm Jill Dardig, and this is Bill Heward, and we're here today from Worthington, Ohio in the United States to bring you our greetings and tell you a little bit about a new book that we have coming out that you might be interested in. First, I think we'll tell you a little bit about ourselves. Actually, we met in graduate school at the University of Massachusetts many years ago, and both of us got interested in special education at this time because we were working for a project that delivered services to children who were deaf and hearing impaired. We also ran some projects for children with autism and other disabilities, and it really caught our attention, and both of us sort of decided on our career track at that point and decided that this would be a wonderful way to spend our careers. And then after graduate school, both of us eventually ended up teaching at the university, teaching potential special education teachers. I was at a university called Ohio Dominican University, and Bill was at the Ohio State University. And as I said, we continued our interest not only in children and their learning, but also family issues and how families can get more involved in the education of their children. Bill.
Well, we're especially excited to get to talk with you and tell you a little bit about the background behind the new Romanian translation of our new book called Let's Make a Contract, a positive way to change your child's behavior. I first met Anca Dumitrescu at a conference she organized in Bucharest in about 2015, I believe it was. And she and her colleagues and a number of families they were working with were very interested in providing effective information for parents and families and teachers as well on positive approaches to educate and support children. And Jill and I had published many years ago a book called Sign Here, a contracting book for children and their parents. And Anca was very interested in looking at it, and she decided to translate it. They published it, and this is actually a second edition of Autism Voices Sign Here. Really cute. They colorized all the illustrations and so forth. And Jill and I were so excited about that, we then worked with colleagues and publishers and NGOs in 9 other countries to have translations of Sign Here published. And again, Anca and Autism Voice were very critical in really starting all of that. Jill's going to tell you some about how she came up with the original idea for a contracting book for families, but just briefly, a contract is an agreement, usually in writing. Sometimes it can be conveyed with pictures for non-readers, but it has 2 main components: a task that is to be accomplished by one party who signs the contract, often the child, not always, and a reward that the child will receive for successful task completion. And the parent, or in the case of a school contract, a teacher would sign that part of the contract. And Jill, do you want to tell a little bit how the
I think I'm going to go back in time a little bit here because also while we were in graduate school, we both had the opportunity to work for an early intervention program, children ages about 3 to 8, with autism and other disabilities. Bill was the head teacher and I was the parent educator. And I was able to work really closely with the parents and do parent training. And the one particular technique parents really took to and were able to handle very successfully is called contracting, or behavioral contracting, or contingency contracting. There was already a lot of research on this particular technique to show that it was solid, evidence-based. And I kept thinking, how can we bring this wonderful, positive parenting tool to a larger audience, not just a small parent group that I was working with? And so I came up with the idea of writing a book that had children's stories that conveyed the idea of contracting in different family situations. And Bill loved the idea, and we decided to work on it together. So that was how eventually the first book was published. It was called Sign Here. Bill showed you the Romanian translation that we're just so thrilled with. But contracting, I should mention too, it's very helpful for a number of child behaviors like doing chores, doing homework, getting along with peers or siblings, playing nicely with pets, improving schoolwork, and that sort of thing. So it's kind of a very versatile technique. And so more lately, as Bill mentioned, the book originally was translated into, 9 languages, something like that. But our book was no longer available in English. And we realized this, and we realized there was a demand here for this parenting tool as well. And so for the last year or two, we completely revised the book and brought it up to date and had a much more diverse set of people, characters in the book, both families and children. And that's when we came up with this book, Let's Make a Contract. Whoops, here we go. And this is what we're going to be sharing with you today, a little bit more about this.
As Jill mentioned, the new book has 4 families, 4 very diverse families, including a single parent and one family. The father works at night. 2 of the children range in age from 4 to 14, and 2 of the children, 2 of the families have children with autism. Little 4-year-old Maya and 10-year-old Connor. And what we've done with the new book is in the form of brief children's stories, completely illustrated in color. They're written at about the middle elementary level, these stories. They're very brief, and they can be read parents with their children. Some children with the reading skills might read them themselves. And in each story, the family applies a contract, creates a contract to, as Jill gave a number of examples, replace some negative behaviors, some challenging or problem behaviors that are going on, or to help a child increase a chore like helping get dinner started for the family or cleaning the bedroom. But the contracts are also for learning new skills and achieving goals. One of the boys in one of our stories, a 4th grader, is a little bit sad because he's not doing as well in mathematics and arithmetic, especially with fractions, as he would like to do. And so he actually creates, with the encouragement from his mom and dad, a self-contract, where he's going to focus on, eventually they learn to have the contract focusing on completing problems, geometry.
No.
Fractions, that's
Fractions.
it.
There we
I
go.
better go back and study my math too.
I know. But I think, Bill's giving you a little taste of the stories. There are nine separate stories in the front of the book, and the second half of the book is actually more how-to for parents. It gives lots and lots of examples and troubleshooting guide and all kinds of things that should help parents pretty easily implement this technique. Right now, the book is available from our publisher in English, the Collective Book Studios, and it's also available on Amazon.com. But we want to share with you our website, because that is going to be linked to the Romanian translation, and our website is called contractingwithkids.com. That's one phrase, contractingwithkids.com. And not only can you link to the Romanian translation, but Spanish and Portuguese and Azerbaijani and all the other translations of our new book.
And a very nice feature, we believe, of the website is that parents, teachers, anyone, anywhere in the world can download the PDFs of the contract forms described in the text in our book at no cost. You don't need to have the book beforehand to access these forms, and they can be downloaded in English and at this time 6 additional languages, with more languages to come. We think by the end of the year probably about 10 languages the forms will be available in. And Jill mentioned at the very outset about 50-some years ago when we started to work with families with this strategy. At that time, there was some research on demonstrating the effectiveness of behavioral contracts used in schools, used in homes and clinics. But there was some real serious research and development on our initial contracting system in the Sign Here book as well. 3 PhD students at Ohio State University in the 1970s did their doctoral dissertation research with families and teachers evaluating the book. And Jill and I used it with student teachers and families for a number of years in the courses that we taught for prospective special education teachers. So all in all, well more than 300 families have evaluated and used the contracting system that our book describes.
Well, I don't want Bill to give away everything. We hope that you will join us for the virtual Southeast European International ABA Conference on October 21st and 22nd of this year. We'll tell you a lot more about the book. We hope you like it and get interested in perhaps doing some contracts with families that you're working with, or with your own families as well.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Hope to see many of you soon.